So hello everybody, and I hope you're well. I'm sorry for the delay in answering these homework questions. Someone had a question on problem 3 of 7 in chapter 18, and I want to go over it here. So Backcountry Adventures is a Colorado-based travel agent that operates some backcountry huts. Currently the value of the firm is $3.5 million, but it could vary. But profits will depend on the amount of snowfall. If it's a good year, the firm will be worth $5 million, and if it's a bad year, it's going to be worth $2.5 million. So it'll vary with snowfall. Suppose managers always keep the debt to equity ratio of the firm at 25% and the debt is riskless. What is the initial amount of debt? Part A, calculate the percentage change in the value of the firm, its equity, and its debt once the level of snowfall is revealed, but before the firm adjusts the debt level to achieve its target debt-to-equity ratio. And calculate the percentage change in the value of outstanding debt once the firm adjusts to its target debt-equity ratio. And the last part, D, what does this imply about the riskiness of the firm's tax shields? So I'm going to show this to you. All right, so let me see if I can drag this up. All right, so it says, what is the initial amount of debt? All right, so the company's originally worth $3.5 million, right? You see it says here it was worth $3.5 million. So with a 25% debt equity ratio, how do you get 25% debt equity out of $3.5 million? If you divide 0.7 right, over 3.5, you'll get 25%, right? And the equity is 2.8, so the debt to equity, 0.7 divided by 2.8 equity gives you a 25% debt to equity ratio. And the sum has to equal how much? 3.5. So, x plus y has to equal 3.5, and x over y has to equal a 0.25. So that should give you the simple answer to A. So initially the firm's debt is 0.7 million and the equity is 2.5 million. Calculate the percentage change in the value of the firm, its equity and its debt once the level of snowfall is revealed, but before the firm adjusts the debt level to achieve its target debt to equity ratio. All right, so this is before they adjust their target debt equity ratio. So before recapitalization, the value of the debt is going to remain constant. Okay, so they're not going to adjust the debt to level. So in a good year, the company would be worth $5 million, and in a regular year, it's 3.5. So the change in the firm value will be 42.9 in a good year, and in a bad year, it's going to be down 28.6. Plus, it'll be worth 2.5 million. So this is the net change in the value of the company. All right, the change in the equity value, okay, because now the company is basically worth 5 million, but we're going to keep the debt constant, right? The debt's going to stay at 0.7 million. So the change in the equity is now going to be 4.3 million. 4.3 plus 0.7 should give you 5 million. This is the original debt. So the change, equity, I'm sorry, this is original equity, right? See it right there? So the change in equity value will be 53.6. So this is the change, the net change in the equity, okay? Remember, you're keeping the 0.7 million constant, right? So, and you have a 5 million valuation, so that leaves 4.3. And here again, the same thing. You have 0.7 million, so now you have 1.8 million here in a bad state minus the original 2.8, so you're down 35.7. And again, the change in the debt value is held not adjusted yet. Okay, now calculate the percent change in the value of outstanding debt once the firm adjusts to its target debt equity ratio. After the recapitalization, the debt equity ratio is going to, again, be reset to 25%, okay? So what does that imply here? That in a good state, you have 5 million, right? And basically, over here, again, the company value doesn't change. You see the company value not changing here or here? So that doesn't vary, okay? The change in the equity now, this has got to still be 25% debt equity. So look here, $1 million in debt, $4 million in equity. This gives you a 25% debt equity. Here's the original values. And again, this gives you a 25% debt equity in a bad state, okay? And again, that's $2.5 million, right? So basically, it's the good state is 42.9, and the bad state is minus 28.6. Remember, it's got to be a 25%. So 25% of 2 million is this, and 25% of 4 million gives you a debt of 1 million. Okay. What does this imply about the riskiness of the firm's tax shields? Explain. Because the debt is riskless, the only risk to the tax shields is the amount of the debt. The risk is identical to the risk of the firm as a whole because the debt is riskless. So the riskiness of the tax shields are identical to the riskiness of the firm as a whole. Okay, so that's the answer to 3. So there was, if you think about it, they're just ratios. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so I hope everybody understands that.